This temple has stood for 1,000 years. Next year, the cheapest way to enter it might be to put on a headset. Japan just welcomed 42.7 million visitors, an all-time record. Its sacred sites are cracking under the weight. The solution being built is stranger than any travel ban. In the next 20 minutes, you'll understand why the age of simply showing up is ending. For centuries, Japan's shrines ran on a simple deal. The gates were open. The gods were free. You tossed a coin, rang the bell, and left. Then the world discovered Japan all at once. 42.7 million arrivals in 2025 alone, per the National Tourism Agency. And the old deal started to break. Viral posts now claim Japan is closing its real temples and selling virtual ones instead. That's not what's happening. What's happening is quieter, more clever, and in some ways more radical. This is TrendXverseGo. Today we follow the pilgrim's path as it turns into a priced, ticketed, and finally digital road. Start with the claim spreading across travel feeds. The end of free temples. Paid VR shrines replacing the real thing. Sacred Japan, locked behind a paywall of pixels. The posts mix real screenshots, headsets, digital torii gates, price tables into one alarming story. And like every good myth, it grew from true ingredients. Japan really is charging foreigners more than locals now. It really is capping its most sacred mountain. And its temples really are being scanned, polygon by polygon, into virtual space. The myth just connected dots that reality hasn't connected. Yet, to see why the dots exist at all, stand in Kyoto at 9 in the morning. Bus lines wrap around the block. Alleys in the geisha district are closed to photographers after residents fought back. A weekend made Japan the world's bargain destination, and the crowds compounded yearly. By 2025, arrivals hit that record 42.7 million, nearly 16% above the previous peak. The first quarter of 2026 alone topped 10.6 million. Somewhere in those numbers, patience ran out. Residents began mapping which hours their own neighborhoods were no longer theirs. And City Hall started reaching for tools no Japanese city had dared to use before. The clearest signal came from the country's holiest silhouette. Mount Fuji, for centuries a free pilgrimage, now runs on rules that read like airport boarding. A climbing fee of 4,000 yen per person. A cap of 4,000 climbers a day. Gates physically closed from 2 in the afternoon until 3 the next morning, unless you've booked a mountain lodge. A volcano with opening hours. When a nation puts a turnstile on its most sacred mountain, everything downstream becomes thinkable. And officials framed it not as commerce, but as rescue. Fewer climbers, fewer rescues, less litter on holy ground. The language of protection had arrived. It would not leave. Next came the prices, 2 of them. At Himeji Castle, a World Heritage Site, the March 2026 overhaul set admission at 2,500 yen for international visitors and 1,000 for locals. Same gate. Same castle. Different price by passport. Kyoto rebuilt its lodging tax into 5 tiers, topping out at 10,000 yen per night for luxury rooms. And Japan's tourism agency convened an expert panel in March 2026 to write national rules for this dual pricing, expected by 2027. The precedent is being drafted right now. And beneath the pricing layer, a quieter project is underway, copying the sacred. Kodaiji, a 400-year-old Zen temple in Kyoto, has been captured with photogrammetry for virtual reality research published just last year. Another temple, Dokuin-ji, scanned its entire interior into the metaverse. You can walk it today from a browser. The National Tourism Organization publishes free 360 tours of sites like Sensoji. Individually, each project is innocent preservation, outreach, marketing. Together, they build something new, a second Japan, made of pixels, waiting for a business model. So let's audit the viral story. Are real temples closing, replaced by paid VR? No. Are the gates narrowing, fees rising, caps hardening, prices splitting by nationality while perfect digital copies come online? Yes. Every piece is documented. The question that matters isn't whether the myth is true today. It's whether the incentives all point toward it becoming true. And to answer that, you need to understand what 42 million pairs of feet actually do to wood, to stone, and to silence. Heritage sites are consumed by the act of visiting them. Wooden verandas polished thin by millions of socks. Stone steps cupped like spoons by footfall. Moss gardens compacted to mud. Conservation science calls it visitor-induced deterioration, humidity, vibration, abrasion, all rising with every busload. A temple is not a stadium. It was engineered for monks, not for millions. Which forces every custodian into the same brutal triangle: access, preservation, revenue. Pick 2. For centuries, Japan quietly picked access. That era just ended. Enter the copying machine. Photogrammetry works by shooting thousands of overlapping photographs, then computing a three-dimensional model from the way features shift between frames. Add laser scanning, and you capture geometry down to millimeters: every beam, every carving, every flake of 400-year-old lacquer. The Kodaiji research project did exactly this, reconstructing not just the buildings but the garden light and spatial atmosphere in VR. Once captured, the copy never erodes. Never queues. Never closes at 2 p.m. For a custodian caught in that brutal triangle, the copy looks like a miracle. A version of the temple that 10 million people can visit on the same afternoon, without a single grain of gravel moving. And there's a precedent that haunts every heritage manager on Earth. When Notre Dame burned in 2019, restorers leaned on detailed digital records, including laser scans made years earlier, to rebuild what fire erased. The lesson spread through the profession like scripture: scan everything, before the fire, the quake, the flood. Japan, a country of wooden treasures on a seismic fault line, heard it louder than anyone. So the scanning isn't a tourist gimmick. It's insurance. But insurance policies have a way of becoming products. Because look at the numbers stacking up. Himeji's dual pricing more than doubles the foreign ticket. Kyoto's top hotel tax jumped tenfold. Fuji's 4,000 yen fee multiplied across a capped 4,000 climbers is 16 million yen per day at capacity. Tourism is one of Japan's great export industries now, and heritage is its inventory. Meanwhile, a VR visit costs the temple almost nothing to serve: nowhere, no guards, no queues. Infinite capacity at near zero marginal cost. Any economist will tell you what happens next. The only question is who charges first. So, the myth check. Is any major Japanese shrine currently refusing physical entry and selling VR access instead? No, we found no such case. Today's virtual tours are mostly free, preservation projects, university research, tourism marketing. The viral posts collapsed a slow, real transformation into one fake headline. But notice what the real pieces already allow. Caps create scarcity. Scarcity creates queues. Queues create premium tiers. And a perfect digital copy creates an overflow room. The machinery is assembled. It simply hasn't been switched on. And history suggests machinery that exists eventually gets used. Here's how the switch could flip: no villain required. Year 1, a fragile moss garden limits entry to 200 visitors a day, with a lottery. Year 2, the losers are offered a discounted VR visit, better than nothing. Year 3, the VR version gains features the real visit can't offer: night mode, vanished buildings restored, a drone's eye view. Year 5, for the most fragile rooms, VR becomes the only public access, and nobody remembers voting on it. Each step is reasonable. The destination is the headline everyone panicked about. Some call this the second entrance. The physical gate, capped, timed, and priced by residency. The digital gate, infinite, immersive, and for now mostly free. The strategic question is which gate gets invested in. Every yen spent on the digital twin makes a case for narrowing the physical one a little stronger. Museums already run timed tickets and virtual gallery side by side. Japan is simply the first place where the two systems are colliding at the scale of an entire nation's sacred landscape. And that collision has a spiritual cost nobody has priced. Because the digital gate doesn't just relieve the physical one. It quietly competes with it for funding, for attention, and eventually for legitimacy. Because a shrine is not its geometry. Shinto practice is physical: the water at the purification basin, the gravel underfoot, the clap that startles the birds. Yet the experiments are already live. Dokuenji's abbot welcomes visitors in the metaverse, betting that contemplation can survive the screen. Millions attended online worship during the pandemic and called it real. So can presence be transmitted? Theologians say one thing, engineers another. Before we judge, let's give both sides of the bigger fight their strongest case. Because both sides are partly right. The defense of the priced, digitized pilgrimage goes like this. First, preservation is not optional. Every skipped footstep is a beam that survives another century, and the scans guarantee nothing is ever truly lost again. Second, access, honestly counted, goes up. The elderly, the disabled, the distant poor who could never afford Tokyo can now stand in Kodaiji's garden from anywhere on Earth. Third, the revenue is real and it flows to restoration, priests, and towns hollowed out by depopulation. Fourth, locals get their shrines back. Dual pricing is just a residence discount by another name. That's the defense. Now the prosecution. First, charging by passport at a World Heritage Site sets a precedent. Every country can abuse heritage of humanity, priced by nationality. Second, the slope is real. Once VR access exists, the pressure to reserve the best of the real world for those who can pay only grows. Third, pixels flatten meaning. A shrine reduced to content competes with every other app on the headset. Fourth, the crowds don't vanish, they get redirected to the next unprotected town, which lacks Kyoto's budget and Kyoto's lawyers. Both sides claim to be saving the same thing. They disagree on what the thing is. And the world is watching, because everyone owns something being loved to death. Venice now charges day trippers for entry. We made a whole film about it. Machu Picchu runs timed slots on a strict daily cap. The Acropolis caps visitors and staggers entry by the hour. Bhutan charges a steep daily fee and calls it high value, low volume. None of them have a national-scale digital twin waiting in reserve. Japan does or will soon. Which makes this the test case, the first country that could genuinely offer the world a copy to save the original. If it works, every over-touristed nation inherits a playbook. If it fails, we learn what can't be copied. Meanwhile, the least dramatic tools keep doing the most work. Timed reservations flatten the deadly midday peak. dispersal campaigns push visitors toward the hundreds of magnificent, empty temples nobody photographs. Off-season pricing moves crowds into November rain and February snow. Luggage bans, bus rerouting, resident-only hours boring, granular, effective. Kyoto's fight with its own success is really 1,000 small policies, not one grand gate. VR belongs in that toolbox. The danger was never the tool. It's the temptation to let the copy quietly become the default. So run the tape to 2030. The National Dual Pricing Guidelines, drafted by the 2026 panel, are in force. Booking a famous temple looks like booking a flight date, time slot, resident status, price tier. Every major site has a certified digital twin, updated after each restoration. Most offer VR freely, as a preview and an archive. A few fragile interiors, a painted ceiling, a moss garden are physical entry by lottery, VR for everyone else. No temple has closed. But the meaning of visiting Japan has quietly been rewritten. Which surfaces the question hiding under this whole story. What exactly do we think we're doing when we visit a sacred place? If it's seeing the copy already wins on resolution. If it's learning the copy wins on annotation. But if its presence being one body among the millions that stood here across 1,000 years, then no polygon count will ever close the gap. The crisis forces the choice into the open. For 1,000 years, nobody had to define the difference between seeing a temple and standing in one. Now a headset is demanding a definition. Japan isn't destroying the pilgrimage. It's asking, for all of us, what a pilgrimage actually is. So, the verdict on the headline. Japan is not replacing its sacred sites with paid VR. No temple has locked its gate and sold a login. What's real is a pincer, physical access getting scarcer and more expensive, record crowds, caps, passport pricing, while digital copies get better and cheaper every year. The viral posts got the mechanism wrong, but the trajectory right. The freely open sacred site is becoming an endangered species. Not killed by malice. Managed out of existence one reasonable policy at a time. Picture 2035. You reserve your temple slot months ahead, the way you book a restaurant that matters. Before flying, you walk the digital twin and learn where the light falls at dawn. The real visit is shorter, quieter, rationed and, people say, more moving for it. The skin sits in a vault, ready to outlive fires and earthquakes. Fewer footsteps. Deeper ones. That future is neither utopia nor scam. It's a trade and we're mid-signature. So here's the question I want your answer to. If a fragile shrine offered you 2 doors, a lottery for rare physical entry, or instant, beautiful VR access forever, which door do you choose? And would your answer change if the physical door cost 10 times more because of your passport? Team presence or team preservation? Tell me in the comments, and tell me the one place you'd refuse to visit as pixels. I read everything. If tracing one viral headline down to the documents was worth 20 minutes, subscribing takes 1 second. TrendXverseGo publishes one investigation like this every week. AI, clean energy, geopolitics, the future being built while nobody's watching. Catch the pulse. Lead the future. That's the whole job description. And next week's file is already open. Somewhere in the Pacific, a nation whose land is disappearing has started uploading its self-government, land registry, citizenship into the cloud. If the islands sink, does the country survive as a server? The first digital nation isn't science fiction. It has a flag and a deadline. That investigation is next. See you there.